Hello, this is Pastor Terry Goodman, and I want to welcome you to the Wesleyan Connection. This podcast is primarily for the clergy and laity of the Holston Annual Conference. Join with me now as I take a look around the Connection and share some of the things happening in the churches of our annual conference. Well, have you ever had one of those kind of days? I think I've had one of those kind of years. But before I get there, I want to talk to you about the podcast. When I started this podcast about 14 or so episodes ago, I thought, it would be great to do this on a regular basis. And I thought every day of the week would be a little hard, so I'll start it 3 days a week. I got a feeling when you start with a podcast, you shouldn't be quite that ambitious. I'm finding that 3 days a week is a little hard to keep everything caught up. And so I'm going to change my schedule right here. I'm going to go from 3 days a week to 2 days a week. I'm going to publish on Mondays and on Thursday mornings at 8 o'clock. Now, you're getting this one late on a Thursday because by the time I got into the office, my computer had to update. It had been a while since I'd been here. It took about 2 hours. So that threw me off, and then there were some other things I had to do. But I just wanted to let you know about that new schedule, that they will have podcasts published on Mondays and Thursdays now, hopefully on a regular basis. But what I want to talk with you about today is something that happened to me this year. This has been an interesting year for me, both as a pastor and as just a normal person. Back on April the 24th, I was on the way to a conference in Dallas, Texas. Flew out of Tri-Cities, landed at Charlotte, and had to transfer planes. Had about 30 minutes to get from Concourse E over to Concourse B. I never made it. Somewhere between D and C, as I was on the moving sidewalk, an accident happened. Those moving sidewalks are great. I was running behind. I thought that'll help me because the luggage that I was trying to pull along just wasn't pulling right, and it was annoying. So I said, I'm going to get on the sidewalk. And so imagine me with a CPAP machine on a strap around my neck, a bag in my left hand, a bag in my right hand, but it's not wide enough to stand with the bags on my side. So one hand's forward and one hand's back. And I'm going along this moving sidewalk, and I'm going, at least I'm not having to fight with the bag on the wheels. In front of me was a little lady, an elderly lady, and she had her a suitcase. She was holding hers. She didn't pull it along on the sidewalk. And when she got to the end, she put her suitcase down, and then she had to pull her handle up so that she could pull it along behind her. And she had to adjust and get everything right. The only problem was the sidewalk is still moving, and I'm on the sidewalk. So I'm quickly approaching this little lady, and as I approach, I realize that there's going to be an accident here if I don't do something. And so I started trying within the confines of the walled sides of the sidewalk to shuffle around, hoping that I could get by her on the end. Well, right as I got to the end, she took off, but too late for me. I was already off balance. I caught my foot on the edge of the thing, and I went tripping down to land on my left knee, breaking my kneecap, falling then onto my right hand and wrist to brace my fall, breaking my wrist in 2 places. As I'm laying there on the floor, I watch her just continue on down the sidewalk, on down the concourse. She was off the sidewalk by then, probably on her way to Dallas, since that seemed to be where most of the folks were heading on the plane that day. And there I was on the floor, looking up at the ceiling. Amazingly, it wasn't a whole lot of pain to have a broken kneecap. The wrist hurt a lot, but the kneecap didn't really hurt, just sort of swollen and large all of a sudden. Security guard saw it all happen. He comes over. He wants to get my name and registration, so to speak. So I have to dig my wallet out. And then a lovely lady, I don't know her name. I wish I did. She was an angel in disguise. She comes over and gets my glasses, which had gone flying down the concourse, and gives them to me. And she gets a bag and puts it under my head, so I've got something to rest my head on as I'm there on the floor. And after a few moments, she looks at the security guard, who's sort of just standing there and watching all this, and says, "Are you going to contact medical attention for this gentleman?" And the security guard says, "Well, He's not asked me to yet. And I said, please get me a doctor. And that began the ambulance ride to the Charlotte Medical Center, a marvelous medical facility there. I hope I never see it again, at least not in terms of the trauma care that I had to deal with. Great nurses and doctors there. But they were telling me, there's not much we can do for you. You've definitely broken a kneecap. You have broken your wrist in 2 places. Not anything we can fix right now, so you need to be arranging a way to get home. Get home, I'm saying to myself. I'm in Charlotte. I'd called my wife Debbie at about 7:15 when the accident happened and told her I wouldn't be making it to Dallas. She might want to be coming down towards Charlotte. And so she eventually gets on the road, arrives at the hospital between 1 and 2, and by 4 o'clock they're checking me out of that place, and the adventure is just beginning. There's nothing like an accident or something to uproot your life and turn things on end. That certainly did it for me that day. I realized that maybe God had something else in store for me, and this summer has indeed been a time for me to think about God and how God moves in our life. But more importantly, this summer was a time to show me something about myself. I had seen people throughout my ministry. I've been in ministry 33, 34 years, something like that. I lose track along the way. And all during those years, I've seen churches come stand alongside someone in the congregation that was sick, that was ill, bringing in food and helping out at the house and getting them to doctors and doing the things that good churches do. And I was there encouraging them, saying, yeah, you need to go see Aunt Sue, or you need to go visit Uncle Bob and take care of them and help them out with something right now. It's a different thing altogether, however, when you're the one being helped. It's a different kind of feeling to no longer be the one that's directing the ministries of care and love and concern, and to find yourself on the other side, on the side in which you are receiving the love and the care. That's what happened to me on April 24th. It has begun an adventure 6 months ago now, a little over 6. I'm still not better. I'm still struggling with some issues related to the knee and the wrist, but I've seen the church in action from a vantage point that I hadn't pre prior to this not seen. And I'm so glad to see God's saints, men and women and youth, coming along to help out a poor old preacher that can't keep his balance and falls in a Charlotte airport. The church, it's a marvelous place to see God's love and to experience God's power and presence. It's come to my attention, maybe, of the need that we within the church need to tell people outside the church what we're about. I don't think that folks outside the church understand that kind of love, that kind of concern, that kind of peace that can come knowing that there's someone there for you. It's time for the church to begin finding a way to broadcast that message, to let the folks in our communities know that there are people that will love you, that will care for you, that will come alongside you, that will share God's love, even as they share their love with you. It's time for us to let the world know that the church is a place where indeed people are accepted, where people are loved, a place where God can be encountered. And so as I've recovered, I've thought about those kinds of things. I've thought about the fact that I've seen God's love from a fresh perspective, from the perspective of a pastor in need of the love and care of a congregation, instead of having to give love and care all the time. And so I am grateful for all those that have helped me over these past few months. And I encourage you to encourage your churches to be a place where indeed you can proclaim and share God's love in ways such as this. Well, I hope you've enjoyed these thoughts. I didn't interview anybody today, just shared some thoughts with you, and I hope these thoughts will be encouraging, and I hope that your church will start reaching out and sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. This is Pastor Terry Goodman. I'm wishing you a great day, and I hope that God's love will flow through your life, through your church, and out into your community. God bless. This is Pastor Goodman. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Wesleyan Connection. Be sure to check back often for more podcasts.